Donald Trump to be president of the United States. Oh my goodness.
So did you like that? Yes, it's going deaf a little bit here.
Yeah.
All right. So did you like that? I mean,
well, it's a fact, isn't it, that if you wear higher heels, your legs look longer, and as I said, the swimsuit goes up to the hip.
Yeah. I mean, obviously said it just, but there is truth in it. At the end of the day, physique counts. It's a beauty contest, after all. But how much, weight do you think should be placed on that these days?
These days people go to the gym. They work out. They want to look good, and they work hard at it. So maybe there's some beauty queens that have a lot to show off and nothing wobble. Why not?
So if you were to judge a beauty pageant, if you were to come up with one on your own and select, say, a Malaysian girl to represent the country on a global stage, what other qualities would you be looking for?
Well, in my case, I think obviously you can't discount looks. That would definitely be one thing. After all, she's representing the country. Yeah. So she has to look like a role model, And secondly would be, for me, I think if she's sincere, if she's a genuine person, she comes across as really real, has confidence, and knows what she's talking about. I think there's a lot of potential right there. I think that's exactly what I'd be looking for.
Definitely.
Yeah. I would look for someone who is curious. Someone who's curious to know more about the world, especially her own. Right. Someone who knows a lot about her own country. Someone with confidence, good health, and a very strong sense of humor. Because your ego gets so deflated and dented and crushed that if you haven't got a sense of humor about it all, you would just collapse.
Really, I'm surprised.
Yeah.
I mean,
you put on
stage. Sorry, you put on stage for your beauty. You should have a huge ego, wouldn't you?
Yeah, well, you need to have a sense of humor when your ego gets deflated. Just to give you an example, I just talked about this recently. After I won, I was in a nightclub and I went to the ladies, and there were two girls there, and I knew that they were going to say something about me. I just knew they were dying to wait for me to leave the bathroom. So I waited outside the door.
Of course, as one does.
Of course, as one does. And this girl said, "Macam mana dia menang Miss Malaysia? Her mother mak Saleh kan?"
Oh, no.
You see? So I put my head in the door and I said, "And I bet she makes better summer belacan than you."
I love that. Love it.
And also, how many of us can honestly say that you do not sit through watching a pageant on TV and have said to at least one girl, "Oh my goodness, how did she win? Oh, look at her legs. Oh, look at her nose. Oh, exactly." So I know, I say that, and I know people are saying that about me.
Yeah. So certainly. You know what, ladies? Certainly isn't catty at all. All right, we'll be back in just a bit. John Lee Hooker for now. BFM 89.9, the business station. Caroline and Moriam and Muhammad with you on the evening edition. We're with Dato' Yasmin Yusof, former Miss Malaysia Universe, and the reigning Miss Malaysia World, Nadia Heng. We're talking about beauty pageants and beauty queens, of course. Now, something we mentioned off air about how many beauty queens these days are dogged by a lot of scandals and so on and so forth. So I was just wondering, do you think there are still high moral standards associated with beauty pageants? Because off air you said that you felt this sense of responsibility. You're representing your country. So 365 days a year, you have to present this proper moral standard.
I think very much so. Just like Nadia said just now, you're a role model, and you have to stand for the best of your country. I think so. So not too overboard, not too much of anything, and toe the middle road. Yes, be polite.
I suppose you have to sort of realize that you will be in the public eye, and you have to bear that in mind. I mean, despite of course being like everyone else, you have your own life, you have your own things going on. You may walk to the bank in shorts or whatever, but of course at the same time you've always got to remember that you are still in the public eye, and you still need to project a certain image.
Okay.
I think a lot of those scandals happened before people went into. I never understand. Then why did you enter? You had this sort of skeleton in your closet.
Well, does the sense of responsibility end when the crown is handed over?
Oh, definitely.
A few more months to go then, Nadia.
Go back to being a real person. No, there's this very strong preconceived notions about beauty queens. No matter what, whether you say, oh, it's a modern day now, they're more brainy or whatever, it's still that preconceived picture of beauty queens. And I had to say that I myself am aware of it, which is why over the years everyone always says, "Oh yes, former Miss Malaysia." I say, "Oh, but I've done other things since, you know." And that even more pressure to keep the wrinkles away. Oh my goodness! And then people say, "Oh, what year was that?" "Oh yeah, I wasn't born yet, lah."
Oh no!
Like Nadia.
All right. So, do you think beauty pageants will continue to be relevant?
I think so. Well, look at the amount of beauty pageants that are mushrooming. Like over the years, I think, from the two major ones, like Miss World and Miss Universe, there's so many.
It's huge money as well.
It becomes diluted. Yeah, exactly. It's big business. There's so many brands out there that can make money from it, from sponsorship and all kinds of stuff. I think it's going to be around for a while. And I think it is not necessarily, like you said, I also had preconceived notions of what a beauty queen was. And, you do tend to suspect, or you sort of do tend to wonder whether there is substance behind it. Yeah. But at the end of the day, after having gone,
especially when you meet some that don't. Okay.
After I've met such lovely people and with substance and brains, it really changes your whole view of things. What was the question?
Yes.
That was straight out of the beauty pageant. Was it not? Was it not?
Yes, because Yasmin's sitting here nodding along as well. At the end of the day, it sounds as though it's very, very good for the individual.
Oh, right.
So, you're dealing with competition, you're learning how to, exactly, it is. But how useful are they really? Is it going to solve problems like, I don't know, world hunger and so on?
World peace.
You know what was really interesting? When we were there, they actually told us to not, for heaven's sake, when we do ask you the question, do not say you vote for world peace. But because seriously, how is anyone ever going to solve that? Yes. So they actually told us that because it's become so ingrained in people's minds that when we had a rehearsal session, we actually had one before the finale, and you actually had girls that did say that, but it was of course in conjunction with whatever else they said. So they said be realistic, be genuine, be realistic, be real.
Do you remember what question they asked you, Yasmin?
No, I never got to the question bit. I was in the last 5.
Okay.
I think I think it's important, although you're going to be an international beauty queen, if you win the main title, I think it's important to always remember where you come from and that you would have the power to do something good for your own country, which many Miss Thailands have done. That won Miss Universe, there have been Miss India Universe, there have been Miss Philippines Universe, a lot of Asians who have actually done good for their own country.
Indeed. I'm just thinking, those questions. Yeah, those questions. I'm sorry, but some of them are ridiculous. Answer them in 2 minutes, and how are you going to do this and that, right? I think that some of them are ridiculous questions, and you're asking a bit too much. Even seasoned politicians may not be able to answer them correctly.
They would have taken half an hour.
No, not only that. How are you going to judge someone on those 2 minutes? That's what always freaks me out.
That's true. But I do reckon they don't necessarily judge you based on that answer. I think they already have their scores.
Okay, well, you know what I have here?
A question?
Yes, I have. We've been doing some Googling.
Oh, okay.
Very busy doing something.
Yes, that's the extent of our research.
That's right. Tons of questions online. Beauty pageant questions. Beauty pageant questions. So, our 2 beauty queens here in the studio. Yes, exactly. But, we don't have that much time, so I'm going to give you all 30 seconds to answer each question, okay? 30 seconds to answer each question. As you would at a proper pageant, because of course there's fanfare here and all that. Okay, all right. Are you ready? We're going to go with Nadia first then, since you're all right. Question number 1: if you could change one thing about yourself physically, what would it be and why? Time starts now.
Well, if I had to change one thing, quite honestly, I feel very blessed to be born into a family and to be brought up the way that I was. And I've also been taught to appreciate everything that I have, including my well-being and my physical being. So if you were to ask me to change one thing about myself, I wouldn't, because I did have this episode with my sister, and she did say, she did talk about my nose, and you know what? There's one thing she said to me, regardless of what anyone else says, if you did change anything about yourself, including your buck teeth, you wouldn't be Nadia.
Oh, lovely.
And world peace.
And world peace.
Of course. Okay. That took about a minute, but I liked that answer. Did you like it?
Yes, I liked it actually.
Okay. All right.
Very good answer.
Another one, and this one for you.
I don't get the physical check. Okay.
What do you want?
No,
I was going to say,
you want the same question.
Oh.
You don't get the same question. Of course you don't get the same question. You're going to say you don't get the
I should have gone into a soundproof box.
Oh my goodness, no. Okay. All right. All right,
Give
here
me
we
easy
go.
one, please.
Okay, 30 seconds, right? Yasmin, what sort of challenges do you think young people face today?
Wow. I think that one of the main challenges I think young people face is trying to get their older parents to understand how a young person thinks. And I think that's very universal. I'm sure it happened to us when we were younger as well. You know, you have a challenge because your father will say, in my day, or, you know, not as long as you live under my roof. I think that's trying to get people to understand where young people are coming from. I think that's probably the biggest challenge. Plus curfews and not being able to stay out after 10.
I also wanted to clarify.
And world peace, of course.
World peace, of course. World peace. World peace. One more question we fit in before the... Yeah, one more question. We just want to fit in before we get into the news here. This is important. I've heard this one. If you were to win this competition, how would you use your crown to help your country? Nadia?
Well, I suppose... as a Miss Malaysia, you basically are the ambassador for your country, and that's exactly how I would use it. You know, to travel the world. But, you know, once you win Miss Malaysia, once you win Miss World, you actually go on tour all around the world, and of course, you know, it's just sort of impart where you came from, your culture.
Thank you for listening to this podcast. To find more great interviews, go to bfm.my or find us